you ready to start?
Yeah.
Okay, well then let's do it. So what is that new character? It looks like a Buccaneer to me.
That would be right, yeah.
Okay. Now how are you feeling with that? Is this the right one?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot, eh? Yeah.
Okay.
Comparatively, my last character was Kane.
Mm-hmm.
When we had the progression session, I think it was like 18k stats. Had no
Mm-hmm.
idea what I was doing. I get the general gist of the game now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I usually get stuck around that 30k mark where I just don't know what to do after that, eh?
Yeah, that's kind of where my I don't know if you know my characters a bit. That's kind of where my Adele and my Cannoneer were for a bit as well. Because especially even if you're going Abzo and you're just fully upgrading the Abzo, a lot of the stuff 17, maybe like CRA up to 19, but you really have to start getting things up to 21 stars if you really want to jump past that, right? There's no other way around it, really.
That's part of my question with that, because I have no luck with that, so there's probably a more efficient way to do that. So,
okay.
Yeah, you'll have to run me through that, because not great at that.
Sure thing. And when you say the general gist of the game, did you have any other questions written down that you want to, like maybe small questions you want to get to before we dive into the...
Not particularly. Hopefully Legion stuff and like everything is sort of on track. And hopefully I'm not missing any big chunks in my nodes and stuff, which, as you can see, my nodes are fairly empty.
For the buck, yeah. Should we just look through all the screenshots real quick and then make sure nothing's nothing weird is going on, and then we can circle back on the big plan on where to spend the money and all that stuff. So what level are you right now?
151, about to be 152.
Okay. Wait, 251 probably, right? Or
that's what it said, yeah.
Yeah, it's totally what you said, yeah. My bad, I misheard. Yeah, and was this your Hyperburn, or...?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. All right. And in general, do you have like a certain goal in mind for the character? Are you just trying to just get to the next bump? Or
new main.
Just main, okay. And just like sky's the limit in terms of how far you go?
Ultimately, I want to be able to solo H Lucid, which is, I know I'm not close to that yet, but I guess short term I want to be able to solo H Damien, H Lotus, but
okay.
Yeah, still not quite close to that yet. Not too far off that, but
no, some classes. I think Kobe did it on lower stat, so we'll have to see if everything else is up to snuff. But yeah, depending on how well you play your character, you could be at the point now where Hard Lotus, Hard Damien could be doable. You know, it might be longer runs depending on how much experience you get, right? And then soloing Hard Lucid is probably going to be a little bit closer towards the 40k stat, or a little bit past the 40k stat mark. Just for like a comfortable clear, basically.
Oh, I just realized there's something I forgot to send.
Okay.
Symbols. I'm just going to shoot that in Discord.
Oh yeah, I see 910. Okay, let me get a 910. So that's 410. It is red, so it's 430, 43 levels, 36, 7 off. So you're at like 18, 18, 16, 16. No, 18, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 10, 10, something like that.
I shot you a message in Discord.
Oh, they're much more equal. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, bad guess.
I didn't do dailies till like 240.
You got more in arcane power, yeah. Well, yeah, if you're hyper burning, yeah, no, that makes sense. If you're hyper burning, you don't really have that much time to do symbol dailies, so you're gonna get to the level way faster than the symbols can keep up. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it's gonna slow down. Well, it's not gonna really slow down the... If you want to do like Hard Lucid solo, right? You can still brute force that, but if you would want to do like a Hard Will solo, that might slow that down because of the insanely much higher arcane power requirements for Will versus Hard Lucid.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at... I'll just glance at the stat window real quick. So you gain a whole lot of damage when you're when you're buffed, where's all that damage coming from in Buccaneer?
Fair few things. Flag is like 4k stats nearly.
Yeah,
stimulating conversations, 20% damage. And lightning forms like a lot.
Okay.
And after that, I think I rolled double fives there, so it's a little bit inflated,
Okay.
the range.
Right.
Yeah.
Double fives is decently doable, right? On 3 dice roll. Yeah. And you can roll quite quickly as well if you don't hit it, so you're constantly like fishing for the double 5. Right, and all the crit damage from the hyper skill that they're slightly gonna redo, right? Because it's a little weird now where it lasts 90 seconds, but the cooldown is 60 seconds, which is so strange to me. Like every time it's available.
I never even noticed that. It's always up though.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're just changing it to. I think it's just like you. I don't know. They're changing it to be better, to make more sense in that case, because it's weird that it's that discrepancy where it's a 30-second more uptime than duration. Because I tend to look at when my skill icon is clickable and then I click it rather than when is it disappearing, because there's so much stuff going on there on the top right.
Yeah, I just have it on auto pet. Skill.
That saves a whole lot of trouble. Yeah. No, I feel that. That would be the way to go. Okay, but yeah, I don't see any crazy numbers or crazy weird things over there. So far, so good. What you said. It's funny how your range like quadruples.
Yeah, I thought that's why I'd share the non-buffed range.
A lot of it is from the percentage damage, right? Because that does get calculated into your visual damage range. So that takes care of that a lot. We got a decent amount of boss damage as well, so that's cool. Okay. What is this? Sounds so loud suddenly. Okay. Okay. You have your inventory here.
Yeah, that's just for craw spares and stuff. It's like 4th column, 3 down. That's basically all I've got.
Yep.
I keep booming like continually. Every time there's an event, I go and then just no gains at all. I think last time I spent 20 bill and got 118 and then boomed it like literally the week after. So.
Damn. And how would you approach doing that? Like, what's your strategy?
For shining, I had a bunch of crossbears. Just went through them until I had no more, and everything just boomed. When I had just the one left, I got it back to 17 and left it there.
And when you say boomed it all, like walk me through that. You just one piece at a time, or do you spread your money through your items? Like, how you do it?
Well, for that, I was hoping to get like a craw to at least 20, but didn't happen. But yeah, I just generally focused on them because they're the easiest things, in my opinion, to get spares for. Like, they're just, So ideally, that would be my first 21 on this character. Because Abslab, I'm not really gonna Starforce that or spend much more on that as it is.
Yep. Probably not. Yeah, that makes sense. Because when you were Starforcing on the CRA pieces, did you see 18 stars? Did you see 19 stars, or was it just all booming?
I saw 18, 19, and then boom. Like, I feel like I'm pretty unlucky, but I'm sure everybody does. I failed like 15 to 16. I think my goal on shining, not 15 to 16, 16, going back. I failed 62 times in a row.
Okay.
That was fun.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
That's a lot. And then just boom. As soon as I get past that and get 17, 18, and then immediately boom.
Yeah.
I went through 17 pieces that day. Around there. 17, 18 pieces. And then I'm just like, there goes all my money.
Yeah. So there's definitely
piggy bank money.
Yeah, that's true. You're getting a little bit of an extra bop, and there's more piggy bank money coming. So the general strat, whenever you're upgrading, you're trying to basically get the most money's worth for what you're doing, right? So the general strat will be like, what is the highest or the lowest chance of not making an upgrade at any given time? At the beginning is what gives you the most upgrade, and then the further you go is like, what's the lowest chance to not give me an upgrade, basically. You start looking at the negative somewhat. But the idea behind having so much CRA and so many backups and having multiple pieces in the same situation is that every next star you do is always going to lose in efficiency versus the star before it, because it's always going to be more expensive comparatively to how much you're gaining for it. So if you're have 3 pieces of CRA and you're trying to upgrade them, if you have a limited budget, so I'm talking, if you have like 20, 30 bill versus someone who has like 200 bill, right? If you have 200 bill, then you know for sure you have to be super duper duper unlucky not to get at least 3 of your CRA pieces from 17 up to 21, right? Because just mathematically, if you look at the Starforce calculator, it just is basically impossible to get that unlucky. Or in your case, you'll run out of backups before that point. But if you have a more limited budget, it makes more sense for your money to make sure that you get the value Starforces, so which for you at this point is 17 to 18, and get that on all 3 of the pieces, and then try to go from 18 to 19 and get that on all 3 of the pieces. Because then if eventually, how unlucky you would have to be to not get all 3 of them to 18 or all 3 of them to 19 within a certain budget, that gets way more unlucky than not getting 1 piece to 21, because that's like already pretty unlucky, right? Or pretty unlikely is what I mean to say. So you want to give yourself a better odds of putting your money to work for you and decreasing your chance of ending up with no upgrade whatsoever. So because there's like 2 scenarios. Let's say you have like 10 bill and you have 3 pieces at 17, right? So check exclamation mark Starforce. That's not how you spell that. Okay, 3rd time's the charm. There you go. I'm so good. Let's say you have 20 bill, piece 150. We're not star catching, also not safeguarding. Going 17. Let's say trying to get to 21 or whatever. And it was
You wouldn't
shining.
star catch?
I wouldn't star catch, but it kind of depends on your budget, of course, but or on how much time you have. It depends on the piece a little bit as well. Technically star catching is better, of course, gets a little bit better, but if you have so many pieces and so much money, or a lot of money, then I value my time more there almost than the slightly higher chance. But if I'm doing something like pitch boss pieces or something, I'll definitely star catch just to get the best rates I possibly can. So even from 17 to 21, like during a shining, even without all of that, it says like the average should be like 3.5 to 5. So if you spend 20 and you never saw it, that's like ridiculously unlucky, right? Like it's 95% chance to get it within 14.
Well, that's what I looked at, eh? I'm like, all right, 20 bill, I should at least get 1. That was the logic, but yeah.
But
So
as your money
your
money goes down, then the chances, because whether you've already spent 1 bill or 100 bill, the chances are still the same, right? At any given time.
Yeah.
So as your money goes down, you want to get some safer options. Because if you look at like the chance of getting 17 to 18, like that's this much, and the chance is just higher, right? That you don't get 117 to 21, then that you don't get like 3 pieces from 17 to 18 or 3 pieces from 17 to 19. And then if 1 piece from 19 to 20 or 19 to 21 gets really unlucky, and that sucks, but then you're left with a 17, a 19, and a 19 rather than a 17, a 17, and a 17. Because it's easier to see, it's easier to see 19 like 3 times than to see 20 1 time, right? So by spreading your money over things that have the same risk level, you'll make your money work harder for you. And even if you are unlucky, you may have inadvertently, because of the approach of the star forcing, made it more likely for you to get unlucky. And you just want to minimize. There. Yeah, sure.
With arcanes then, if you get like a spare whenever you get one, whenever a box drops, let's say, you just star force that like to 21 and try, or what's the plan with that?
Yeah, so typically arcanes, they go straight up to 17 so they can replace the Abzos. And then it kind of depends on your income levels. So if your income is fairly limited because you're still building up like bossing mules and stuff like that, you know, you're not doing all of the bosses solo yet and getting those crazy crystals, and you get a box, typically what most people do is they'll just pick any of the items, you know, that they want to get a backup for that just is 17 at that point, so any of the 4. And then whenever an event comes around, like a 5, 10, 15, you try to go up to 18, maybe up to 19. 17 to 19 is pretty reasonable. I would say the intervals for Star Force, you know, in the beginning is like 10 or maybe 11, and then up to 12. And then the next interval is like 15 during a 30% off. But the goal is to straight jump to 17, right? Ideally during a 5, 10, 15. And then I would say 19 is like the next, like a next good benchmark. And then typically 21, you'd like jump it over 20, right? And then eventually maybe 22, depending on the piece and depending on how you play. So those are like the steps I would take. So because 17 and 19, you know, you're looking at an arcane. You would be safeguarding. Maybe star catching. You could add that if you're going to do the whole thing just during a 50% off. You know, this is a lot of money, but this is very doable for like an arcane, right? And the chance to boom is not that high. So this would be like an okay thing to try. But if you make money faster and you can do it off event, which of course will make it more expensive. You know, like almost twice as expensive, but then you can keep the box as a universal backup, and then you can kind of do the same thing as you would do with the CRA, where you try to get one to 18, it goes, okay, now you can get another piece to 18 first, right? And if anything booms, you just get that item from the box and get that back to 17, but as long as nothing booms, you can just keep going.
Yeah.
But okay, you need the money in the moment, right? So you see this is like, it's a prohibitive amount because it's just twice as expensive per per item. So
yeah. All right. So sort of take games where you can get them rather than trying to like one shot something all the way to 21.
Yeah, those are things that you do if you either have like a whole lot of backups, or you're going to do the transfer hammer strategy, right? Because then you don't want to transfer like an 18 into a 17 and a 19 back into 17 just to get it to 18, and then a 20 again to get it right. Because that's every time you have to redo the potential. The efficiency there is horrible. So if you're transferring, it's typically like 16 into 15, and then like 15 during a 5, 10, 15, tap it up to 16, transfer it down to 15, and then back up to 17, or you do like 21 into 20 for like the superior stuff, right? Those are typically just the only 2 jumps you really make. And then in some exceptions, you do like 22 into 21 if your source item is just way more common than the target item in terms of like a source of suffering. But for example, you always want to get as high as possible into a source of suffering as a starting point, just to limit the risk as much as possible of booming that thing. But yeah, other than that, just 1 star at a time will just give you way more meso efficiency, especially in the beginning when those things are relatively expensive compared to your income. Yeah, you might have to just take the lower risk ones, and it feels like you're cucking out a little bit, but you know, you'd rather have like all of your CRA be 18 now and maybe 1 or 2 pieces be 19 rather than all 3 of them be 17 and having spent the exact same amount of money, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Might actually stop me from completely burning out, so that might be good. Yeah,
because you're basically waiting until the next event comes around and then you're just saving up your money. But the more you take like I don't know, like inefficient or less hyper efficient moves, more likely that you end up spending everything and not making any progress. And that's a really good way to burn out, because then it's like, what did I do all of that effort for? Like I got nothing for it, right? So you want to give yourself a chance to be able to pick the fruits of your labor by approaching it with that strategy. I think that should work. And then also, if you have a really bad event, hopefully the next one would be a good event, you know, because if you really spent 20 bill, you didn't even see 20 one time, that's horribly unlucky. So shouldn't happen, but it does.
So July, they're changing Star Force, aren't they?
Yes, most likely, yeah. Wouldn't be a huge difference for you, like in the situation you're in. But for arcanes, for example, it'll be quite different on how the cost would be calculated there, at least up to 15, right? That's where the biggest change is.
Yeah, okay. That was like another one of my questions. Should I just save until then and then try for 21s? Is that more efficient? Or just better off wait for an event?
Yeah, well, it wouldn't necessarily be because of the 20 because of the Starforce change, but it would be because it hopefully will go together with another Shining, right? And then you get more value from your mesos that you save. Yes and no. So there's definitely a thing where if you spend all your money during an event, your money gains efficiency, and because of the higher efficiency that it has there, it would be beneficial to save for it. But on the other hand, if you spend your money earlier, you can get stronger. You can maybe partake in certain content that you can't yet, or do things faster, which gives you more money over time, which means that they can start regaining some of their value. Where the point is exactly has to do a lot with how much you play. So I don't know how many hours you play, what kind of bosses you're already soloing, bossing mule-wise where you're at. Like, what would you say your weekly income roughly is like in mesos? Without the piggy banks, I guess.
Not including Ursus or that. 5 to 7 build, depending on what I can be bothered doing. Stuff bosses. I don't think it's horrible, and hopefully with the next Terror burn goes up to nearly 10, but we'll see.
Oh yeah, I can check your Legion setup a little bit, because the Kane is it, yeah, the Kane is still the highest now, right? Yeah. Kane can kill quite a bit of stuff. Did the Kane get to run the same part as where your Buck is now, or?
My Kane is 31.5k stats, but he's fully, like, he has every piece of gear. So 7-day Monster Park, full superior stat, full arcane.
Full arcane,
just a little bit extra.
Yeah, a little bit. Big difference between full arcane or full Abzo, right?
Yeah. But yeah, my Buck is on track to have more stats than him. If I had the same level of symbols, he definitely would.
Yeah, true.
I don't understand why, to be honest, because my Kane has 33% stats on a lot of his items, or like thereabouts. My Buck does not, and he's basically the same stats. So yeah, I don't. My Kane has 21s on him, well, 2 of them, but still 21s. But yeah, Kane can solo normal Gloom down, sort of.
Okay, yeah.
But normal Gloom is like a 15-minute run.
Only if you're really feeling like it.
Yeah.
And the if he's doing normal Gloom, is also doing Hard Lotus and Hard Damien, or no?
Nah. He theoretically can. I've done it on him, but no thank you. Too long.
Oh yeah.
Lotus
I tried to do
30 minutes.
I tried to do normal Gloom on my hero after I did. So I did Hard Lotus and Hard Damien, and I was like, oh, that was a little bit longer. But then I noticed I didn't do guild skills. I was like, oh, well, that explains. And then I put my guild skills. I was like, well, if I can do them this quickly without guild skills, I could definitely do Gloom, right? So then I went to do Gloom, but I was only level 250, so I have more damage reduction. I was like, okay, Gloom takes forever. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So the comparative for me, I would way rather do Hard Lotus and even Hard Damien than to do normal Gloom. But there might be a level difference there. Yeah, probably got way too much damage reduction.
Well, Hard Lotus my King can do, but Hard Damien I haven't actually fully tried.
Okay. Yeah.
So he does about 7-8% per burst, which theoretically could clear him, but if phase 2 went well. I haven't really spent half an hour to see if I could.
Yeah, yeah. It's like if you're, taking a day and you're like, let's do some limit testing today, and we can see what's going on. Okay. Okay, so right now it's a 5 to 7 build, depending on how much you play and stuff like that. Yeah, because if you're thinking about but that's a week, right? So that's a month. That's like around 25 billish, up to maybe possibly 30, 25 to 30. So if you're talking about 6 months, you're looking at 150 to 180 bill. Progressive. Hopefully that goes up a little bit, so hopefully it gets a little bit closer to that 180. That's a lot of money to sit on and not to make work for you in a situation that you're in, right? Honestly, too much, because you're going to be gimping yourself out of certain upgrades that you want to be able to make. So like if you get an arcane, do you really want to wait like 4 months until you can take that arcane into use? That's probably not a good situation to be in. But let's say you have like 17-star arcanes, you can already you can grind properly, you can kill everything near your level, you can do all the bosses you want in party, you can do all the bosses you want solo, and there's just no pressure on you to really have to upgrade, then you can wait as long as you want. So as long as you feel like there's, upgrades that you can make, but you don't have to do any of them, then you're cool waiting. And as long as you feel like, okay, now there's just, these runs are too long, for example, right? Like I can't do these bosses, but it just takes forever because I'm just, not strong enough. And at the same time, you have like 80 bill in your storage or something, and there's a 5.10.15 coming up next week, then you might as well just put 2 and 2 together and start making that money work for you.
Yeah, okay.
Because I was talking about the burnout, right? Like that's going to be the same feeling of like spending all your money and getting nothing, or sitting on all your money and not making it work for you. Both of those are going to feel like, why am I even, why am I even upgrading and having this money if I'm not gonna spend it, if I'm not gonna make it do something?
Yeah, that's fair. I get that.
So I would probably, anywhere up to switching into arcanes and getting CRA up to 21. Anything like that is probably good. And then from the secondary thing that determines like how far you push, I would say out of something like a Shining Starforce would be just how many backups you have. If an event comes around and you've got like 3 Kana treasure rings or something, it's okay to wait. But if you have like 14, I would just go, I would just slam some just to clean up inventory space, and the chance that you get it is pretty high there. So I would just go for it.
14 couldn't be me.
Yeah, no.
Been running that boss since Destiny and haven't found a single one yet.
Not a single kind of treasure? Oof. Wow.
Nope.
Well, we can look at some other stuff for that. Okay, what's the other thing you mentioned? Your Matrix? Did you have some questions there?
Yeah. Will skill. I take it it's sort of worth it. I'm just starting to get room for shit like that now. So.
Sorry, which skill did
I
you
don't
say?
know how will.
Oh, right, yeah.
The will node? Yeah. I don't know whether to throw that in there. I probably will, because I don't know what else to put in there or what to level after that. So I'm currently thrown up between will skill and, say, Greater Blessing or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the thing with the the blessing needs to level a bit, but the thing with overdrive is that you really want it to be leveled up a little bit because of the cooldown, but mainly because of the scaling on it as well. If it's still pretty low level, then it's almost like hurting you more than you're gaining, right? Because you get like a penalty as well when it's off, and you have a decently high DPM, right? So it's actually going to hurt your DPM a bit because of the attack loss afterwards. It's not as extreme as it used to be in the beginning, of course, but it is still there.
I mean, that would explain why I feel like Buck is very bursty.
Yeah, it makes it you even more bursted with overdrive, yeah. And the higher the level, the more value you will get from that. But the boost nodes look pretty good. I definitely put one, I don't know how important it is, but like you have one of your boost nodes not in a leveled up slot, but just in a regular slot. I'll probably put in a leveled up one just to make sure you can keep killing everything quite quickly. Decent combat order is probably useful. I mean, I would say blink for the utility is nice, but instead of you could use a true arachnid reflection instead of blink, right? Unless you find yourself using it a lot in boss fights.
Not particularly. Not particularly. I will probably be 255 pretty soon. Get another node slot, so. That's sort of more what I'm looking at.
I make this mistake a lot, so I'm just going to check. Yeah, you have decent sharp eyes on your gloves. Yeah, I always put my foot in my mouth, like yelling at that, and I'm like, it's not there. Let me check first, because I've learned from past mistakes.
For when I actually push those arcane gloves and get them potential. But
yeah, if you auto buff, it's gonna be 100% uptime anyway. So the decence is it's fine not to level, except for a holy symbol, right? More EXP and more drop rate per level. So that does help when you're leveling it.
What about things that don't let you heal though? Because they do take like a decent chunk of health off you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, we have healing femmes, and that seems to cover that most of the time. That's our But yeah, if you didn't have healing fams at all, then that would definitely be a legitimate concern.
Alright, so you'd probably get rid of them when you found them at the current point?
Yeah, you mean like the extra
ticket?
the extra decents, you mean? Yeah, I would just extract them for sure. I mean, but you're also at the point where I would probably still do it because you still have a decent amount of things that you can level, right? The Goddess Blessing, the Overdrive, the Flag. Like, you can still get a lot of damage from getting those. Your dash isn't completely maxed yet, and you can throw some in Holy Symbol as well. Like you said, you're still looking for those drops, so any kind of drop rate you can get yourself is a good idea. So getting more Holy Symbol and just anything that gives you drop rate, we want to get that. So, because you want more primals, right? You want more kind of treasures, you want more dominators. Those are the long term, like getting to 21, tapping into superior, right? Like that. Those are those long term projects where you. What do you mean?
I want a dominator.
Yeah, at all. Yeah, dominators. Let's start with one, and then we can always see where that goes after that. But yeah, that's probably where I would throw it in. I don't think you lose anything right now from Blink. I mean, maybe you just slot Blink back in instead of the bind if you're doing like Party Lucid or something and someone else is binding anyway. You can use it for survivability, something like that. But other than that,
Black has pretty good like airtime.
Mm-hmm.
Things like Lucid, I don't really need Blink for.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's not necessary, but it does give attack, which at the moment, like looking at my nodes during a boss, there's not a lot more.
Yeah, exactly. But once you have like the whole 5 lines or something, right? You're looking towards your second page, then yeah, Blink is probably always somewhere in there.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. My DMT is today.
Okay.
So
so it's right now, actually. I think no.
Is it?
There's a lot of blue messages on my
screen. It actually might be. It says it's miracle time.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of blue stuff going on here.
Yeah.
All right, what are we upgrading right now?
So the plan today is get proper drop gear.
Yeah, and I think since you mentioned that you haven't gotten a single one since since Destiny, I'm like, what's your drop rate and like Mesoobtain looking like right now? Is it?
Well, I've got 5 items that are all drop pretty much. Two have Meso% on them, and I've got 13% IA drop rate. I didn't actually add them to that. I didn't know if they were.
I see. Yeah, you have the slime. Well, they are. Yeah, it always feels like maybe it's a little bit of a detour, but it is the investment that you make that will eventually, pay itself back. And like you said, those drops, you can go a very long time without the drops. And it's like the same thing with the Starforcing again, right? If you like spread your, if you get a bunch of drop rate, you're not investing into one thing. You're investing into getting more backups of everything. And then you can possibly get unlucky at 1 or 2 of the drops, but the higher drop rate you get, the less likely you are that you get unlucky at all the drops. And all you need is one item to actually drop. Like, maybe you have no dominators, maybe you have only 1 or 2 primals, but then you probably have like 6 kind of treasure rings, right? But the lower your drop rate, the higher the chance that you get unlucky at all of them, and then you get stuck. Then you have money, but nothing to throw it on, and then you have 2 options. Either then you sit on all your money forever, which feels bad, or you start doing lesser investments of lesser efficiency, and that doesn't feel good either, right? So the more you get, drop rate is very quintessential there in giving yourself the opportunity for the drop, so that once you do get anything, then you have something to work towards. And as that's why CRA is nice, because it gives you that buffer of you're just working on CRA, and then by the time CRA gets into the really scary territory like 21 plus, hopefully by that time you have a bunch of other drops that you can work on, and then you can do the lower risk transferring over there. And then once all that stuff is done, then you can go back to CRA, because then that becomes the obvious thing to work on again.
Yeah. I sit at 183% drop.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the worst, but definitely need to get it higher, which will be today, thankfully.
And do you have any familiar from a familiar drop rate at all?
60%.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, that's the meso and drop familiar large. which
Yeah, like
sucks,
the
but
old. Well,
I'll
it's
take
good. It's good. It's like the old spider line, right? The 6060.
Nah. It's the large meso and drop together
Yeah,
in
yeah,
one
yeah.
line.
Yeah, we used to have
Yeah.
a familiar called like the spider, and it always came with that line. Basically, that was its default
Oh yeah,
potential.
back in the
Yeah.
day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I still call it like the old spider, even though it has nothing
Oh,
to do with
okay.
it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that's really good because I typically in this situation you have like a increases drop rate line, which is 50%. So you even have more than that. So that's actually really nice. So that combined with the holy symbol and then with the lines. You said you have 5 lines right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, I definitely want to get to try to get 7 or 8 at least, just to give yourself that
that'll be
chance.
today.
Mm-hmm.
That actually brings up another question.
Sure.
What other rings do I use, eh?
Right now you are using.
I got slime and superior. I'd take it. The next one after I get my superior pendant would be the reinforced ring.
Yeah, I'm okay with waiting on the reinforced and keeping your coins instead to build up a bank when you transfer hammer 21 into 20 that you can choose to tap 20 to 21 because you'll have the amount of coins for a backup. Same way that you look at the arcane box, you can look at a pile of superior Golex coins as universal backup, right? As long as something goes, you don't have to touch the coins. You can go on to the next item. As soon as something booms, then you can buy and remake it. Hopefully, only for rings and for pendants, of course. And hopefully the earring and the belt can have their own backups through doing superior Golex. But again, the drop rate is a necessary player there again. But the goal is that because the reason I say that is because the reinforced ring is very close to the Kona treasure ring and to the Meister ring, and those feel like more reasonable upgrades to go for those two because they're just more likely to drop and to appear than the reinforced ring. And going for the reinforced ring early basically locks you into a 17-star reinforced ring, right? Because you're not going to go past 17 for a chance of boom, which means that ring is basically the same as a event ring anyway. So then you might as well roll an event ring for damage, because it's pretty much the same at that point. But yeah, it's like a lot of moving pieces, but that's kind of how I would structure that upgrade. So I think it's fine to have like a superior ring, slime ring, and 2 event rings at this point until you get like kind of treasure rings or Meister rings, and just try to get those to 19, for example. And then be like, oh, I got one to 19. Now I'm going to make that my damage ring, and then I'm going to phase one of the event rings out from damage into drop or meso instead.
Okay. What other rings can I use for drop?
You could use.
I've got the Eternal Flame as drop, and at the moment the Slime ring, but I do want to change that.
Do you have the Treasure Hunter John ring?
No. Is that the Newly City one?
Yes, Newly City. Yeah, it should be a very short.
Okay, I can do that quest. Yeah.
Short quest line. I pretty much always on most of my characters I end up with like a Silver Blossom ring, just because it's so easy to get access to.
Oh yeah.
And
definitely, I'm going to do the same.
Yeah, the power of the ring is not that important, right? It's just the fact that it can get the lines. That's where all the value comes from. So what's your total access? You got the superior, you got the slime, and you got which event rings do you have?
The 2 that are on that you can see, and
the UC card and the
Eternal Flame.
Guardian, Eternal Flame. Yeah. Yeah, so then you would get up to 6. I don't have any more event ring like coupons from the current event, right?
No. Just have the 2, which I'm
wearing. So if you move it to Silver Blossom, that would be 7?
7, yeah.
Yeah. So you want at least one more. Oh yeah, I've got the...
I could always buy a cracked.
The fire.
Ring, I guess.
Well, you got the Awake as well, right? So Awake, Fire Starter, Usticard, Guardian, Superior. And then if you get a Silver Blossom, that'd be 6. Oh yeah, and then 7 for the Treasure Hunter John. Not Fire Starter, sorry, the Flame Ring, whatever. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a like a low-level Gollux ring. I guess it'd be pretty cheap, right?
It's only 100, so not the worst.
I guess the other alternative is people go for like the Ephia's ring, the Noble Ephia's ring, to do like through Von Leon. I've personally never gotten that ring ever. It just sounds like too much work. I never really looked into it.
I think I had it on my cane. That's why I'm short a ring. But yeah. I don't know. Maybe. It depends how much I upgrade today. If I have a spot left, I'll probably get the cracked, I guess. Like if I have money left for the end of the event. But
yep, exactly. Okay.
We'll see. If not, I'll go for Iffies.
And then, is there a drop on anything else? Like your eye in your face? Is that drop? Or no, these are damage.
Yeah. Those are damaged, but I do have in my inventory.
Okay.
Yeah,
and like an old, any old earrings as well? Any old horntail or
those Hilla rings?
Hilla earrings, yeah.
The Hilla rings over there, yeah, they drop as well.
Okay. All right. Yeah, well, ideally you get to all 9 lines, right? But that should add. Would you have 5? Yeah, so that'd be 80% drop extra. And then the other thing I do is I would use the together with the familiars, of course, then use the Legion drop coupon and then get all my bosses done within a coupon, something like that. So if I'm going to do, let's say, all my weekly bosses, I would start with doing Princess No, and then, hold off on the drop coupon all the way until the last room before Princess No, and then pop it, kill Princess No, and then kill all the other ones. So the timing of the coupon doesn't get consumed by just getting to the boss, right? Because that's a pretty big waste. Either that or slime, if you're doing the slime boss, and the slime boss takes a while, whichever one takes the longest. Start with the coupon, right before you kill it on that one, and then go from there, and then try to kill all the bosses within. Same thing with the guild skills, because everything is half an hour, so then you can just squeeze all that stuff in in a half-hour duration. Because you want those dominators as kind of treasure rings, my primals, Spear Gollux, it's all about drop rate.
Yeah. Fair enough. I remember someone saying like they released that drop rate doesn't actually matter for a boss. Like I feel like it's not true. I definitely get more drops on my cane.
No, it definitely doesn't matter. I don't know what they were talking about, but there was some drop rate stuff mentioned, like for example, for hard Lucid and hard Will for the armor boxes. We know it doesn't make a difference. For the MVPs and for the little potions, that doesn't make a difference. It's just the higher the chance, the harder the boss is, basically. But for some drops, we definitely know that it makes a difference. For like soul shards, and from what I've seen for Superior Gollux drops and for pitch drops, that was officially it's said by Nexon, at least, that for pitch drops it's affected by drop rate. And so we do want to.
That's the other question. Pitch drop. So hard Lotus, hard Damien. I feel like that's more efficient to get than CPAP.
Well, I don't know about efficient.
I don't know. Like my achievement list. Let's find out. It's under boss. Take it.
Because I've been running for a long time. It's definitely more reasonable to end up with a PAP mark than to end up with one of the other two. Because the main problem is at where you're going is that just getting a drop doesn't really mean anything. You have to get it to the Star Force for it to matter, right? And which means venturing into 17 plus land, which means it could just go nowhere. So, excuse me, a lot of people will take up to like a year or something to even get a drop, and then just boom it like 17, 18, or 18, 19, and just start all over again.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, do I go for that and continue to go for that and actually waste the time and transpose it? Or do I just wait till I can do hard Lotus, hard Damien, just hope for those drops instead? Because they're technically better than a transposed CPAP mark, right?
Yeah, I mean, mainly because of the SAT bonus, but again, they can be better, but if they boom, you're losing so much more time. So I think it's a attack on two fronts basically. Is that you keep doing CPAP anyway for the weekly crystal, right? If you end up getting strong enough to do Hard Lotus and you're running that boss and you actually get a Berserk, you know, probably Berserk at 17 is kind of, I don't know if that's going to be impactful for you, because Berserk is also going to take up the slot of the Twilight Mark, right? More likely that you're going to see a Twilight Mark before then from Hard Lucid and Hard Will. Excuse me, maybe even get one to 19 before, you know, and then it would be kind of downgrade, because then with the Slime Ring and the Twilight Mark together, you also have that extra 10% boss. So the Berserk would have to be quite a lot stronger. So there's two things going on there.
Okay.
There's one thing there where, like, can you make an upgrade? And the other thing is like, do you need an upgrade? And as a result, if you don't really need the upgrade, how far can you push before it makes sense to go for it? So let's say you have a 19 Twilight Mark. If you can transfer a 19 Twilight Mark and you can replace it with a 17 Berserk, most of the time that's going to be a downgrade there, right? You have no other pitch pieces to set bonus with. You're losing the other set bonus, way lower level, blah, blah, blah. But if you have like a 17 Twilight Mark and you get a 17 Berserk, well, now it seems like a better solution. But if you have a 19, you could also say like, well, I'm going to tap the Berserk higher up to 19 before I could even have to consider investing further into it, right? Because you're going to get to the point where, you know, you just want to see if it booms or not. If it doesn't boom, well, now we can talk about potential and we can talk about the flame and everything. But if it booms, then, you know, move on. See you again in 6 months or something, or in a year or something like that. So that's how you want to, yeah, kind of treat those pieces, I would say. Some people are like, literally, they will have like a 21 Twilight Mark, so they'd be like, well, 22 or trace on the new piece. Because otherwise I'm just not even investing into it. I think that's a bit too extreme. I would definitely, where I'm at, I would definitely try to get pitched stuff to 21. And if it goes, you know, because of set bonus, hopefully, eventually, and because of the sheer strength of them and the rarity of them, I think 21 is plenty good. And then if you get more, you can always try to, you know, get the other one to 22. If it goes, you can tap the first one again, you know. You'll have options at that point. But in the beginning, you don't even really have options, so... It's all about like looking at what makes sense for your account. But you'll most likely get a pat mark way before you see an eye patch. And then as long as you have the dineros, you're basically guaranteeing yourself like a 21 transposed, right? You know, 105 plus flame score, 16 stars, all of that when you transpose. And then if you get it then up to 21 stars, that's pretty close to like a 21 eye patch. But a 21 eye patch is way riskier and it's going to be rarer to get. So it's been the ongoing discussion with Sweetwater stuff between, you know, communities and between people is like, do you just bypass all of Sweetwater because it's not technically better, or do you rely on it because it's reliable versus all the other stuff that's heavily RNG'd, and therefore that makes you more reasonable to make the upgrade rather than, even if it is a little bit smaller, rather than waiting forever and perhaps never getting it.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Drop rate might probably help there, but yeah, for me at the moment, Dom Pendant hasn't dropped and won't drop. I'm using the permanent one, non-permanent one.
Yeah, the crit rate, right?
And yeah, Chaos Papulatus 95 times. I've seen it once on my cane, which was back when I was dumb and I did not safeguard.
Oof.
It went boom.
Rip. Yeah. Yeah, well, those things are, that's kind of, that's where the U like part comes in, yeah.
Yeah, really low drop rate, though. 1 in 95, that's the percentage that I'm on anyway. Yeah, so hopefully I'll end up doing transposing then. That should be the first goal. You're right, it's a little bit more doable if I get the drop.
Yeah, and you can definitely start just catching backups so that like the next time a 5, 10, 15 comes in, you can go for 19 on a whole lot of stuff and you don't have to necessarily risk the post 20, right? So there's definitely some pieces besides CRA where you could get a decent amount of backups. Like for example, Black Bean Mark, you know, it doesn't drop every single run, but the more drop rate you get, it becomes decently frequent in the times that you get that. And with the months that we have in between Starforcing events, you could very well get like 2 or 3 backups, which would mean that you can relatively risk-free get from 17 to 19, and just being able to get that extra like almost 30 weapon attack, right, and like 20 stat on 5 or 6 or 7 pieces instead of just 3, that'll also just money-wise, it'll make you feel a lot better in terms of progress. Plus, if you have a 19 black B mark, you don't have to go like all the way to 20. And it also means that you can go harder on the monocle that you have after that before you need to worry about the potential. Well, the flame is already taken care of, right? because of transposing. But you don't have to worry about the potential as much. You can be like, okay, I've got to transpose. Maybe I don't have enough Dineros right now. Okay, I'll just work on Dineros because I don't need to jump immediately into that piece because the whole account isn't hinging, or the success of boss fights isn't hinging on that one piece being very strong, for example.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why you keep doing Galax, right, for the coins, and hopefully get maybe a superior backup. Abzo takes that pressure off, of course. You don't need to...
Well, I'm still one piece away from full set superior.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to buy that pendant. Oh, no. Wait, pendant?
100 coins away?
Yeah.
Yeah, pendant.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be taking the, what's it called, Mechanator pendant slot?
Mm-hmm.
And that Mechanator will go to drop.
Yep.
Yeah,
true. Yeah, and then that opens up the IED, right? Because the IED is kind of stuck on the weapon now, but that means also arcane weapon. You don't have to worry about the IED at all, or the emblem after that.
That and 7-day Monster Park. Hopefully that comes soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all those little bits. Yeah.
I'm still like 3 weeks away from that, but
that's pretty close.
That'll come.
Yeah, it's 11 weeks. It's quite a lot of work.
It definitely is.
There's probably some classes that would kill for a potential in the hat like that.
Yeah, and I don't need it, so.
Yeah. Do you have any idea how valuable a potential like that is?
Not at all.
Could you, like, if I told you to guess, like, roughly how, like, if someone is specifically trying to get this, like, how much would that cost them, do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I think that was the actual potential I got, like, straight from Tear Up.
Yeah, let's just make it even worse.
Just rubbing salt into the moon. Yeah. But yeah, minus cooldown for Buck. I don't think it does a single thing. Like, it helps a little bit, but
yeah.
I asked the Buck Discord and they were like, "Nah, that's pretty much worthless." I'm like, "Oh, cool."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if you're looking at like with the red cubes. The fact that it's a prime line, I can't even put that in. But like if it wasn't a prime line, it's already like 7 to 10 bill. But I think with a prime line, and it's actually triple prime, right? Because the 9 all is also a prime line.
Yeah, true.
I think it's like ballpark of like 85 to 150 bill, like value.
Not bad, not bad.
But it's probably higher because I think I was looking up for me. Yeah, it's like, but but it doesn't have that value for you because you're not chasing that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlucky. Yeah. But yeah, definitely spreading out the money will give you more average returns, and of course, yeah, the pieces, the arcanes are coming soon. Well, you're doing hard lucid, hard will runs, right? Because I see that glove you have there. Yeah.
Not gonna lie, getting a little bit carried from a single person who's stronger than the whole group, but yeah.
As long as they don't mind. I mean, they might take like priority in the Twilight marks and everything because of that,
they
right?
Definitely do.
In the book, yeah. So that makes sense. And then hopefully as you carry your own weight and, the person still doesn't have their book, you're like, well, I'd like to get an equal share for the book, but I'm still a lot weaker than you. And then party compositions.
I'm definitely strong enough to get into a party, but yeah, nah, definitely them first priority at the moment.
Yep. No, I get that, yeah. We had the glove, well, the glove can go up to legendary now as well, right? If you have the money.
That's the plan with the DMT.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Triple
and then
crit damage. Yeah,
triple. Yeah, I thought you might say double, but triple is that's definitely high hopes. For the costs for that, right?
I can tell you I've spent like 5 bill and haven't even seen double. So, like on my cane. That's probably quite a fair bit.
Yeah, I think it's 2 trill. 2 to 3 trill, yeah, on black cubes. Oh, my emote is back. I think they were reviewing some stuff. Now we need the other one. Okay, but you're drop rate and slowly the arcanes. So you know how far to take the arcanes, you know how far to take the other pieces in general for like the big stuff. So I would say depends on how fast you go, but I think it's okay with like 5, 10, 15 events to take everything up to 17, maybe up to 19 on stuff like the arcanes if you get backups, provided you have the money. That's kind of up to you, and probably CRA like up to 21, but everything like past 19 on anything else and past 21 on CRA, I've definitely wait for something like a shiny because it's just too valuable to use those events for that.
Yeah, okay. Generally, at the moment, I'm just focusing on car. As soon as I get the arcane, so 19 would be nice on them.
Yep. Oh, a small thing I noticed here. It looks like you haven't learned any of your professions.
I have not.
Yeah. It is a good idea to harvest all of the big flowers and the big veins that you see because they can also all drop primals. And, you know, just on the off chance that one drops, even if you open up enough, you know, they will drop. What are these drops? Where are you going? Are you going to Candyland? What is this?
Which ones? Oh, they're Afterlands.
Oh, okay. I've never done that content. That that explains. Okay.
Free totems.
Yeah, exactly. Because there was something...
on that note, talk about totems.
Yeah, sure.
What's the flame score I saw to settle on that one? The shit one? The shit totem?
I think the maths came out to something like 92 to 93 is reasonably... that's a reasonable goal to set. So if you get anything around there, depending on how risk-averse you are or how YOLO you're feeling, yeah, either settle for that or be prepared to possibly face never seeing that number again, basically.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I'm not doing the kill him 15 days in a row, just because I don't have the time with work.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have to be in a row, right? But just on 15 separate days, it has to be.
Yeah, well, I don't think I'll even clear it at this point.
Yeah, okay.
The event, right? I've done it 3 times, so yeah, I don't think I clear it.
Yeah, we've got 3.
And ends on the 24th. Yeah, nah.
Yeah, 17 more days.
14 days, I could.
Yeah. You could, but yeah, it is a lot of pressure. So people said that in the beginning as well on Reddit. It's like the first 2 boxes are very easy to get, but make sure that you really want to commit that hard to go for that 3rd box. Even though that 3rd box is as good as the first 2 combined, right? Because it's 5 per week from that.
Yeah.
It is way more effort than just the combined effort of the other 2. Hey, my emote is
It's not even difficult, it's just long. You just have to get to wave 15 every day. 25, sorry.
25, yeah, well, yeah, survive 24 on 15 separate days, yeah. Yeah, it's just an hour and 15 times, yeah. It's an effort.
Yeah.
For example, yeah. It's like 20 hours at least.
Yeah, I feel like that. Hopefully I get a decent flame score in the 5 that I get a week.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, so you aim a little bit lower, you know, if you see something like mid-80s or something, that's probably also going to be really good. I mean, it's going to be way better than Afterlands anyway, right?
Yeah. Well, I think base is better, even with the bonus reset.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, mine was like 30 or something, and it was already better than a gold Doom totem as well, so... Even if I get a horrible flame, still an upgrade.
Is it sort of worth getting the new garden totem? Now that I'm not getting the 3 set for Afterland?
As far as I know, what a lot of people do, even for U Garden, is they just get 2 U Gardens and then squeeze in the 3rd Afterlands one. Because the 3rd one is just so rare, it takes a lot of time to hunt for them. So some people just kind of like give up on that and then just go Afterlands anyway, just so they can kind of just keep that out of their mind, you know? Don't have to constantly, every single month, because they're temporary, right? After the U Garden
Yeah.
ones, you have to constantly go farm for the piece again. And in some months, you might get them, but a lot of people have just kind of moved away from that content completely and just focused more on, Legion and that kind of stuff for that guaranteed upgrade for your whole account, rather than to try to min-max a little bit of stat and weapon attack for like one, Just too tedious, honestly, in terms of content.
Are they worth it? Like the game comparatively?
Most people have come to the conclusion not really. It's like the set bonus is nice, but it's just so much more rare than the other two. Most people will just get the first two are very easy to get.
Even just getting the two.
Yeah, the two I think
Okay.
is because that drop rate is very high. It's very easy to get those two. So most people just get the two and then put whatever the after lens is with their main stat, right, and put that one in the third slot and then just leave it that way. Because you could take like an hour and get like 10 of the second hardest, quote unquote, and like 30 of the easiest or something, and you'd be done for like a year with totems. But that you could not get an incense sometimes for like 4 hours or something. So it's like, ugh.
Yeah, cool. All right, so like the Slate replica will take that afterlands totem slot.
Yeah,
probably for a little bit of gains, just do the first two.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, if you're okay with spending that time, and if you don't feel like it, you just equip your afterlands that you have, right?
Yeah.
Always have that backup. Small other thing I saw is that you're getting into the point now with your hyper stats that you're bringing everything up to level 10, right? On attack power and strength on as well. Which does mean that if you would go down on the strength and attack power hyper stats, you would have quite a lot of points available to go over level 10 on your other hyper stats, which would end up being more efficient there because of the basically of the scaling. So you probably want to get to the point where like boss damage and critical damage start going above 10 and going towards 11, maybe to 12. Although I think for Buck you go pretty evenly between critical damage, ignore defense damage, and boss damage. I don't think there's anything you have like way more of. It's pretty balanced for you. Because most people, they want to go hard critical damage, but you get a lot of critical damage from your hyper skill. So that evens it out in value. And you get, like you said...
That was part of the reason I did the strength and attack. I'm like not sure what's more beneficial there.
Yeah, it's pretty even. So you can just go, basically like the Star Force, you go 18, 18, 18, right? You could just go 11, 11, 11.
Yeah.
And you want to be okay with just floating some points, honestly, up until you float like, what is it, like 50 points, and then you just slam a level, basically. So you might go a bunch of levels with the hyper stat points going up and being like, you might be like itchy, like, oh, I want to put it in strength or in attack. Or you could put it in strength and attack, but then you have to like reset it every 4 or 5 levels, right? Depending on if you want to do that, because it's a lot of clicking. You can just click 10 and then be okay. You have to click it 1 level at a time, so it's pretty annoying. And the same way for mobbing. Does your mobbing setup for hyperstat, does it look kind of similar, just except for the boss damage and the IED switched into, I assume, arcane power and EXP?
EXP. My mobbing one is 11 damage, 11 normal monster, 15 EXP, and 2 arcane force.
Okay. Wait, and no critical damage?
No.
Okay.
I don't need it.
No.
I just unlocked
exactly,
what's the labyrinth? I'm one-shotting all the mobs there.
One-shotting? So. Okay, yeah. For pure efficiency, going into critical damage if you need the damage, right? But that probably, if you're keeping up with everything, that probably won't happen until you're going into Cernium, right? And then you're gonna suddenly need a whole lot more damage, because then Sacred Power becomes an issue. So, yeah, again, from efficiency standpoint, critical damage. But if you can kill everything, then it doesn't matter, and EXP is way more important. Yeah, like you said.
Yeah. At the moment, my drop gear is not even Starforce.
Yeah, and you're already good like that. Yeah, though you're disproportionately using a little bit more power gear than you would if you get full drop rate, right? So you will go down in damage a bit there. Yeah. Yeah,
definitely.
So then maybe if you start not one-shotting,
I might have to. Yeah.
Then maybe that could damage. Yeah.
Well, when I'm mobbing, I might need to go crit rate actually.
Yes. Well, usually usually switch like the link skill out, right? Try to get the phantom in there. and just switch one, and then that should take care of the... Well, if it's a level 3, right? It takes care of the 20% that you're missing.
Yeah, it is level 3.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the easiest way to to remember. Just put a Phantom in the preset, and then you're immediately done. You don't have to start shifting a whole bunch of stuff around.
Yeah, presets are so good. Glad they put that in. Soon, hopefully, drop rate presets, drop gear presets.
Yeah, equip presets. Everyone's hoping for equip presets. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, symbols. I mean, they just need time. Oh yeah, this is your Starforce. Oh, yeah, you did that last time as well, right? With your flame score.
Yeah.
I recognize that. Yep.
She could have, something to sort of reflect on, so I can throw my flames in. At the moment, though, I'm throwing them all into the arcane.
Yeah, the glove. Yeah, that makes sense. But you know how much you're aiming for there?
110.
Yeah, you can aim quite high, especially because you're not using it yet. My goal score usually early on is around 120 to 125.
Okay.
That's decently, well, again, we can just look at flames, boom, calculator, bam. Because right now, if you think that's too crazy, because we could just budget it out. But 200's, the tier, like a tier 6 is 66 stat already.
Get a decent amount from like all the bosses over 4 characters, so definitely possible.
Yeah, so it says in powerful, it's like 1.1 or 1.6 bill value. So if you think that's too high, you can go a little bit lower, 120. That's like 700 to 1 bill. It's already quite a bit lower. So, but if you're aiming for a 110, right, there's like a 350 to 500 mil. That looks like 40 to 50 flames worth. And I think each like an arcane that you're going to keep longer definitely deserves something higher than that. I think it also makes sense at that point. Like you're not going for like a 150 immediately, right, and like spending like 15 bill on the flame. So I think 120, 125 feels like a good starting point. Because you want to save some money and throw it into double critical damage, right?
Yeah.
And then it's a full upgrade to switch, and then hopefully by then you're high enough level, you can get decent sharp eyes in, and then you should be fine there on that front as well. Oh yeah, 1, 2, 3. Okay, well, best of luck on the Ancient Slate. I haven't hit anything yet either, but I hope you hit something soon, so you don't regret not getting that 3rd box. That'll always feel kind of weird if eventually you don't get it, right? Or I have to settle for something like... even if you get something like 75, 78, like close to 80 or something, it'll still be a decent chunk of stat. And it'll scale with you as your potentials get better, so... Nothing to be afraid of there. Oh, and you got decent hyper body on the pants. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And 24, yeah, I mean, you keep that, but... not exactly what you want. The WSE is good at this point.
Oh, that's, at what point... Not at what point, but like... So, other than Absolab, basically going to be aiming 33% stats. What would be more beneficial? 18ing everything, or getting 33% on things, or like thereabouts? Like 3 lines, or stat? Not like stat, but like stat.
Yeah. So it depends on it really starts depending on which piece of gear you're talking about. So the main thing is that accessories are the cheapest. So that's something to always keep in mind. But some of your accessories might still boom, or you might want a transfer hammer like the Superior. So there you want to be on the lower side, right? Typically like going up to Legendary with like 21. Or like a unique 6, unique 18 or 21, that's typically fine. Even if you're like at 20 star because you couldn't quite tap to 21 yet, for example, or you just want to wait a little bit more to have more backup, something like that. You definitely don't want to push them to like 27 or 30 or something like that until you have them at 21 or 22, whatever you decide to go for. But something like a kind of treasure ring, or like a Meister ring or a slime ring. Again, slime ring can also have 2 approaches, right? You could go high Starforce, Kana, or Meister into Superior, then into slime. Or you could just be like, I'm going to have a 17 slime, I'm going to work on all the other ones, and then when the other ones are done, I'm just going to wait until I have more slime ring backups, and then I'm just going to tap right on the slime ring. And that could be informed by what potential you get. So if you roll like 27, you could be like, okay, that's nice for now, but you know, we can roll over 27. Like that's decently doable. That's not like the end of the world to be able to be able to afford. But if it rolls like 33 or 36, now you can be like, I'm okay with waiting a little bit, and I'll just wait until I have more backups. And maybe you wait it, you know, like 6 months or a year, and you don't get any backups. You're like, well, fuck it. I guess I'm rolling over it. You know, depending on how many projects you have to work on and what kind of money you have to work with, you could be like, okay, right now this is a high risk upgrade, so I'm gonna find my upgrade somewhere else. Or like right now this is actually a low risk upgrade, so I'm gonna go for it now. But we can look at the accessories here, for example, red cubes, just like 27 plus. You know, this looks like 2 to 3 bill. It's like very, very doable. Go up to 30%, of course, it becomes quite a bit more expensive, but it's still 6 to 8, 6 to 9. It's not that bad. If you have a 160 and you're trying to hit 33, that's 36 plus. Wait, 33 plus. My bad. That's like the same cost, right? Same amount of outs. So that's not too bad, but definitely focus on accessories and focus on the ones that aren't going to be like transfer over shenanigans. And I would do that basically once you hit 21, you know, just focus on the Star Force first. If you have like 21 to 24%, that's totally fine. Get them to 21 stars, and then you can start doing this, the cubing again, and really just aim for 27s and 30s. So it'd probably be like kind of treasuring, transpose stuff, right? If you transpose the Pat Mark, if you transpose the Dominator into the Sweetwater Pendant as a second one, like those you can definitely send, right? Once they're transposed. Yeah, Meister Ring, and then maybe maybe the Slime Ring. And other than that, so basically then is like all the armors. So like all the arcanes. But then you probably get those stuff to like 27. And then last is like CRA with like pants and then either top and then hat, or hat and then top. Because if you're trying to aim for like the same thing, excuse me, for the for these, right, was like 6 to 8. But if you switch this to like a hat instead, then it, like, you know, it's like 60% more. But you're aiming for the same outcome, right? So you just get more value for your money by just getting the accessories done first.
Okay, I would have assumed Cry would have been like sort of priority.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, good to know. It's a lot more, eh?
Yeah. CRA is definitely priority for Starforcing because of all the backups. But then when it comes to potentials, it's not priority at all. But the accessories actually are.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, just trying to touch on all the rest of the questions. Legion.
Mm-hmm.
What should be my priority there now? So I'm nearly AK. I wasn't able to get to AK last night. I got Paladin up, which is another so much strength for my buck.
Yep.
But like now to get the next things to 200 and above, like what's sort of my goal?
Yeah, you have 42 plus characters, right? Yeah. So the the lowest 4 are not counting, I think, right? 46.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have a few 140s that are counting. And you've got a bunch of level 3.
I'm missing?
Oh,
I think I've gotten pretty much everything. Like I used the Legion grid.
Oh yeah, you use the Legion grid, yeah. Little thingy.
So I've basically touched on everything before main stats, and then like I think I've finished all the strength characters now.
Yeah.
So
Strength.
My mechanic's still 140. I don't know if buff duration is helpful. I suppose it would be, right? That should be like.
It does something, but it's really specific to some characters, you know, like Kaiser and like the Explorer mages and.
Does that increase duration on 5th jump skills?
No, it doesn't. No.
Oh, okay.
Would be
it
cool.
wouldn't increase lightning form.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't. No.
Okay.
Yeah. Same thing with like chance to cooldown skip, right? Doesn't work on those because if it did, everyone's inner-ability best in slot would be 20, like, is it 20% chance? Yeah, 20% chance to cooldown skip and top line always. Because if you even get one of your 5th jobs to skip cooldown and you can use it again, that's just so broken. So.
Okay.
Kind of that logic. You basically, if you're going towards 8K, I mean, you're really looking at just level 3 links and at level and at double S tier, really good characters. If you have all of that, you've got the yeah, so maybe the Evan level 3 link. You don't have that one yet, right?
Not yet. I don't have the Evan, Iran, or Mercedes to level 3. So Mercedes and Iran are 200. Evan on the radar, but
yep.
And then just gonna get him up. Hopefully get the, because of the clovers, I can get the Evan and Iran to 210. But I don't know if that should be like over something else. Let's say, like the EXP links, are they worth?
Yeah,
focusing on?
I mean, I typically focus them once I know, or advise to focus them once you know that you're definitely going for 8K, so you can have them as your foundation so everything else goes a little bit faster. But especially if you know that your main character, you're going to be training it still, and you're going to go into the 250s and into the 260s and all of that, the EXP links are definitely useful. The Aaron, not as much anymore, because of it scales really weird with the EXP of non-reboot, so for reboot it's not as good. Plus, you know, you're not going to get as easy combos or as many kills that will trigger it at all anymore at the higher level because of totems not being there anymore to enhance the spawn. Plus, you don't want to have to like constantly go out of your way to loot the orbs and then going out of your way actually losing like monster kills, right? That's a little bit detrimental. It's usually really good for early levels, but you've mostly gone past the early levels, so Aaron is definitely on the lower end for the 3, but I would say Evan and Mercedes are a higher level there. So I would focus on those for pure levels and for Legion performance, and just, you know, whatever is your top 42, just, you know, extreme growth potions or whatever kind of events that you feel like doing, you can get some easy levels there. So that would be everything between the Nightwalker to the Mechanic, I think, up to the Dawn Warrior, I guess, you know. Because if you bring all of those up to like, you know, 160 or 170, it's like 30-ish levels, what, 15 times or something? So that's another 450, and then you're looking at actually being pretty close to 8.5, which would be another character on the board. Past 8.5 though, it gets really, yeah. Then you have to really want it, you know. But yeah, that could get you closer to maxing out your critical damage, because, you know, all of those pieces get one bigger at 200. Yeah. Well,
at 8K, I get like an extra 2 slots, don't I?
Oh yeah, you're not 8K yet. Yeah, you get extra. No, 8K is 5 extra characters. Yeah, so you'll be filling out critical damage and some critical rate. Yeah. Or you know,
critical rate would be next, or attack.
So it would depend. If you need critical rate, you should have already have it filled, right? So it probably will be attack. Main stat, right? Main stat first, and then attack, because of scaling.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, if you think about, you can deduce a lot of things back to flame score, right? If you're looking late into the game, 1 attack in the flame score is equivalent to about 3 stat, right? And that's because when you go really high Star Force, you get a lot of weapon attack, so it dilutes a little bit the value of the individual weapon attack. But when you're going into the Legion grid, 1 block in attack is just 1, and 1 block in main stat is 5. So if you're looking at a 5-to-1 versus a 3-to-1 score, then it's more efficient to put it in the 5-to-1 there. That's why it's a higher priority for main stat.
Main stat gets multiplied by your percent stat?
Yes.
On the Legion grid? Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, as opposed to the hyperstat where it doesn't, right? A hyperstat is a flat amount, but in your Legion grid it's multiplied, yeah.
Okay. Right, another question, the link skills. Is there anything better than hybrid logic, or just keep that in there?
Hybrid logic. Oh, that's the Xenon, right?
Yeah.
So you're using that for mobbing?
Hybrid logic and... No, that's my bossing. So what's equipped there?
I see it. Yeah. Sorry, I was looking over it. Well, in this place again, the flame score can help you out with comparing stuff. So let's see, okay, hybrid logic, that's 10% all stat. All stat is about 9, so that's about a 90 flame score there. If you're comparing it to, for example, let's say like your Jetlink skill, or switching into the Cygnus Link skill, for example, right? Those are usually kind of around the same benchmark. So you could say like, oh, the Cygnus one goes up to 25 weapon attack. That's about a 3-to-1, so that's about a 75. So that's lower than the 90, right? So hybrid logic would be better. But let's say you have a Jetlink skill with like 34 attack and 33 stat or something. Well then, okay, 34 attack times 3, that's 90, that's 102 plus the 30 stats, so that would be way more than hybrid logic, right? So if you have really good link skill, that would be better than hybrid logic.
Okay.
What would I use instead of hybrid logic? Usually, yeah, because you don't need the crit. You've got the unfair advantage. If you're in a party, I would use the Adele link skill. Noble Fire? Yeah, Noble Fire. Because then you get up to 12% as well, right? 4 party members or more is 12%. And then that would make it even better than Elementalism. But if you're mobbing, it probably makes the cut, right? Because no other IED, no other boss damage, all of that, Thieves Cunning, terms and condition, all of that gets cut, right? So
yeah,
then it's probably higher priority.
No. All right.
I personally like Cygnus Blessing because it's pretty close in damage and because it also gives you a little bit more resistance, which makes you be stunned less. And I like that one a lot when I was starting out with Hard Lotus, so that I wouldn't get chain stunned as much. That would just it would shorten the stuns just enough to get out of the way and not get like just fucked. Yeah. That's more like a personal preference thing. Because then if you look at like 75, 90, that's pretty close anyway, but you get more utility, then that might just push it over the edge, for example.
Okay, cool. What about resistance links for bossing? Like, would you use it often? And if you were to, would you trade that out for Xenon or say, for example, Judgment?
Yeah, that would be either for that slot or that goes into like needing utility, right? So the little bit of stun shortening, the terms of no, not terms of condition, but yeah, the ones you're mentioning, sometimes even maybe close call, but that's fallen pretty much out of favor at this point. For me, it's really a matter of, do I really think I'm gonna be dying? If you're gonna do hard bosses, I pretty much just always slam them in just in case. But like right now, I did hard loose and hard will runs. I know they're very fast runs. I've got supports with me. I have like a preset basically for Culvert, and then one for bossing for like the serious bossing, and then one for mobbing. And if I'm doing the non-serious bossing, I just use my Culvert setup, which is basically optimized purely for damage and not so much for survivability. But then I'll have one for like Black Mage and for the really hard bosses. I might even have Invincible Belief in there, just for that off chance that even sometimes I can get a heal out of that when all of my other heal is down and I can actually survive, for example.
Okay.
So it depends on how panicky you are and how much you have confidence in your own skill.
What about percentage damage? So like Tides of Battle or Time to Prepare. How does that even out? Because like I'm not using either of them. That's the Kane Link and I don't know what character. Something Ilium maybe?
Wait.
Tide of Battle?
Tide of Battle. Oh, the Ilium, yeah. That's really if you're moving around a lot while bossing. So that's pretty character specific. Ideally, you want to optimize for burst, right? And typically in burst, people stand still a lot. So you don't want to basically be standing still and bursting when you need all of your damage and then have one of your link skills just be a dud. So that's why most classes don't use it anymore. In the past, you'd think about like Nightwalker, for example, right? Because they'd always be jumping up and down. And also Dawn Warrior, because they would be doing that slash formation thing. But now they're not moving around that much anymore either. So it's mostly just been relegated to a mobbing link skill at this point. What was the other one you mentioned?
Kane link skill.
Oh, the Kane one?
That's always sort of just been there for me. I don't really know what it does. It just adds damage randomly on my Kane. But I don't know if it's actually good or not.
It's kind of like a Thief's Cunning, but it activates half the time but does twice as much. But people like Thieves Cunning more because since it activates twice as much and because of server lag, it tends to extend its duration, so the uptime tends to be higher. But if you are doing something like Culvert, for example, you try to just min-max your damage, you could try it with both and see if there's any kind of significant difference if you put both of them in instead of like Hybrid Logic or any of the other stat ones, you know, or like the Jet Link skill, or like the Core Aura or something like that. You can see if there's a significant difference. I know of some people who really try to min-max that they do actually use it, and that it is not horrible, but the ones you're asking about right now, if you were to make a list, you know, like a top list of all the link skills, what you're really struggling with right now is basically numbers 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And there's a reason they're 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, is because they are really close, and it doesn't matter all that much which one you use in there, because you're really trying to min-max now on the final slots, right? So there's a good reason why you're confused on them, and that's because it's not super duper important which ones you pick.
Yeah, cool. They're all fairly close.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, if you really want to know, you could always do BAs, right, in the Fog Forest. I don't know if you've been there before.
Yeah.
Need a dojo, and you could try with the different setups and just see if there's any kind of, you know, what you could do is just do a regular basic attack or just stand still with Lord of the Deep and just see if there's a difference over like a significant difference in damage output.
Interesting. How would you set up a BA, by the way? Because everybody does different things. It's very confusing. Like if you were to do like a Lucid BA, would you set it up with defense and stuff?
Yeah. So if you do, I'm gonna make at some point a BA command as well. But right now I have a contribute command where you can contribute your BAs and your monster kills, and hopefully we can get a lot of people's data. And you guys, if you do this, wow, this is a great question, by the way. It's a great plug for everyone watching this video at some point. If you take ! contribute and enter this, and you enter data, you also get entered into a giveaway pool at the end of the season to win a bunch of free stuff in game. So what I have here, if you did a BA, let's see, you are a Buccaneer, you did BA for bossing, you do next. Here I have put all the info on what I think are the reasonable BAs to do. So here are the settings, the potions that you use, like for Lucid and Will, the level, the arcane power, defense, elemental resistance, all of that. So you can copy these settings onto the dummy. But when you put these settings in, you have to click, if you already have a dummy, you have to click like apply. Otherwise they won't go through. Yeah.
Yeah, some people don't add the arcane power. They prefer to do it after the fact by multiplying it by a certain percentage. It's really confusing, eh? Everyone does really different things.
Yeah, and I've also seen people not do the base amount, but do the high amount. There's a lot of metrics out there. I've been thinking about it, and I'm probably gonna go towards just getting rid of the hard Lucid and hard Will BA, and just tell people who are doing parties, just make someone link you the achievement that they've soloed normal Lucid or normal Will, and then they can be a DPS in hard, basically. Because it shows you so much more than just the number that they can hit on a dummy, right? It shows you that they've done the boss at least like 5 times. They know the mechanics inside and out. They have enough determination, enough damage, communication probably, skill. They just know how the boss works and know how everything works. If I get to choose 5 people who can solo normal Lucid and I don't even know what their BA is, or people who say like my BA is like 8 trill or something, on like a dummy somewhere in the Fog Forest, and I've never run this boss before, I'm always going for that first group, like hands down.
They're always overinflated.
It might be a slightly longer run, but you don't have to deal with people possibly dying out or jumping all over the place, especially with Will, you know. If you have Will experience, you have people fucking up tests first of all. That's okay though if everyone's like, this is our first run, you know, you can try. But even just people's positioning in phase 1, or always getting hit, not being able to switch when you need to, getting Will out of position, and then getting the tornado through the entire map, which is so annoying to have to deal with, right? You'd just rather not. So I think that's a better requirement or a better benchmark to see if someone is ready. But these are the stats I would give to the to whatever shape it is. It's like a fucking statue, right?
Okay, cool. I'll bookmark that, eh?
Someone said, I hope this man has been cubing in the background. You were, right?
Isn't it like in soon? There's like 3, aren't there?
Yeah, there's 3, but the one, there was one just basically during this whole session that just ended.
Nah, I need to do bosses and make money.
Okay,
Like 180 millimeters, that's it.
Okay, yeah. No, because people were feeling bad, like I was keeping you while it was
No.
your time slot for DMT, and then. Okay, we're good, chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions you had on the list?
Other than that, probably how many bossing mules would you make, and like to what stage?
The general answer to that for everyone is make as many as you feel comfortable finishing, because if you're going to invest into a character and then afterwards you just don't have the time in the week, every single week you're like, oh, I still have 3 bosses and 3 boss mules and it's already Wednesday and I just don't have the time. Having that pressure on you all the time, and that's going to come from you already having invested into it, it's just going to feel bad not to capitalize on it. So I would just make however many you have, and right now,
like
and
how
just,
strong do you get them?
Yeah, that's the second question, right? Is like how far do you push them? So the main things I think are either up to like HMAG and everything below, or you make the jump towards Lotus and Damien and then you do everything below. So if you're doing Lotus and Damien and stuff below and you want to really kill that, I think it's like 11 bosses or something, basically everything, all the crystals Vihela and up, right? If you want to sell those, your character probably wants to be at around like 19 to 20k stat, I would say. Access to good Legion, good Link skills, good WSE. So I would say like unique, at least 2 useful lines, maybe 2.5 on WSE, and then everything else, like is probably going to be like epic to unique, just to get that 18, 19k stat. But access to guild skills is going to be highly effective there, right? In terms of your total funding on your character, like 2 ID familiars, guild skills, good WSE, good Legion, and good links. That's a very, very solid foundation. A lot of damage is going to come from that. And I believe in what I call kind of like the trickle down mulenomics, where you're starting to get a lot of resources. Like right now, right? You have these flames and these cubes. The amount of things that you can use these on is very little at this point, right? Like your flames, you have something to work on, you have a project, but all the cubes, the only thing they can do is fuck something up. So what you start doing once you have mules is you just start trickling down to the next character until that character is like, well, everything's kind of good now. And then you move on to the next one. So when you find that you're accumulating a lot of resources and they have nowhere to go, and you have a character that's like 210, 215, you're like, this character could actually probably kill some stuff. You can start slowly trickling things down on there. But the second, back to the first thing, like you need to make sure that you have the time in the week to do it, right? Because once you commit to a character like that, the game is going to FOMO and all of that, right? It's going to pressure you to be on there every week. So I would just keep adding characters until you feel like I can't even do all my characters, and then just stop. And then focus on the characters itself and focus on the quality within the characters. Basically circle back with your resources, and then maybe everything that's like 9% epic, maybe get it all to unique and get it to 12 or 15%, or maybe get a few legendaries here and there. And then maybe you can make the jump from close to 20k stat up until like 23, 24, 25k, and then you can think about maybe adding like slime, for example. But it's a pretty big jump. After like Lotus and Damien, there's nothing really there after that until like normal slime and like easy lucid maybe, but yeah, those are very time inefficient. So that's usually why most boss mules strand there.
Well, my Night Lord is 29k, so and he's like full superior. So would you go full superior or just like?
I think reinforced gear is really good for boss mules. It's very close to superior in damage, and it's way easier and way faster to get.
And if you were to push it, you probably wouldn't push it more than say 25k for like a quick boss run mule. For the time being, at least.
My characters that I have that are like around level 230 to 235 that are killing like regular Lotus and Damien, and then all the other ones like in around half an hour, those are around 18, 19k stat.
Oh, that's not bad.
Okay, everything for me that's gone like past 20 and like then goes towards 30, that was because they were like side characters and they got up to like all the way level 250, and then you can definitely do slime and everything below quite quickly, because you just even at like around 30k stat or a little bit past 30k stat, Lotus and Damien die very, very quickly, so you have a lot of time available there. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I would just keep adding boss mules until you feel like I really don't have the time for this character anymore. Like every single week, there's like 1 or 2 characters I just can't do them, and then focus more on the quality within the characters, and then yeah, then you could do that faster. And now then, if more time frees up, then the extra 2 characters might get done again. You know, because you're not spending like 45 minutes per character, but more like 40 or 35, and then you know you save 15 minutes 5 times. Well, now you saved yourself more than an hour a week, so. Yeah, that frees up time.
Yeah, cool. Thanks to exit lag, I can actually play Cadena now.
Oh, that's that's probably
not sponsored,
helpful.
But yeah. Actually, I think sponsored.
Yeah, affiliated. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's actually a huge game changer. I go from like 400 ping to like less than
you were
150.
400.
Yeah.
What? So it's a 250 drop
horrible.
For you?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Will, you know the phase 3 in Will?
Mm-hmm. Oh
you
yeah.
After you see the thing and it still kills you.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost half a second. Yeah, that's impossible. You have to just iframe or pray. Yeah. Or
pretty
both.
much. Yeah.
Even
no, it's not so bad.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think that's just about everything I had questions about. Thanks for that, man.
Yeah, I think I don't even know if there's anything. I guess we didn't talk about the inner ability. We have 50% off now, but you don't have as much, right? And you got 20 boss and 13 drop, so...
Yeah, it's probably going to stay around there for a while. I think after the fact, I've looked up like what perfect inner ability is, but for the moment, I'm just going to leave it like that and make a shit ton of honor XP, and then next time round...
Yeah, I mean...
try and aim for that proper...
That sounds like a great plan. That's basically the jump from like the mid game to the end game inner ability. That sounds right.
Yeah. I think the item drop is probably helpful for me at the moment, so leave it.
Yeah, I mean, end game people actually usually they tend to roll towards it even at the expense of some damage because of the access to pitch boss, right? It's one of those sources of item drop rate that you can't really replace with anything. It just goes on top of it. So anything that helps in getting you that pitch boss set, and then when you're full 22, then you can roll out of it again. As weird as that is.
Cool.
So, yeah, we didn't talk about Meso obtain gear, but if you're in that transition and you start feeling like your bossing mules are going to take off and most of your money comes from there, then it's totally fine, I think, to not go back into Meso and just really focus on drop rate. So you don't get bricked by backups like now.
My buck's gonna... The goal is 275, but when that happens is another story. But yeah, so I am gonna get Meso gear on him as well. Just 5 lines and then everything else drop. Hopefully some are doubled up. But yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, if you're gonna put in the time, but especially if you're gonna do like extra characters and your account is gonna be like way more built out on bossing mules, and that's just gonna be providing your whole account with money, like a steady flow of income, then it's okay to just bypass Meso obtain and just really straight up just go for drop.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, especially because no trade and all that stuff, right? And the one thing I did want to mention, because you have a lot of familiars in your inventory. Are you familiar with how are you approaching familiars when you have like this many different types and stuff?
I'm gonna throw all of them out.
Well, don't do that. They're valuable.
Why not?
Well, you want to extract them, right?
Oh, I could extract them, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to... Okay, so there's a few things you can do. Step 1, I would say for the commons, there's 2 things you could do, right? You can extract them for energy up to a certain point, and extract them for maybe a booster pack, which has an okay chance for an epic, and also sometimes gives you some rare cards for badges if you care about that. The other thing you can do with them is get them into your bossing mules to make sure that all of them have at least 2 15% ID familiars available, because that's a very valuable early, well, not 30%, but like 27% or something, right? ID is basically like a full line in your WSE that you're giving them for free, right? So for early bossing, that's a huge chunk of damage for them, and that might be more valuable than anything else you can do with them. If you have a lot of the same type, so like 100 plus, or you have a lot of rares, then you can think about tiering them up and getting into epic, right?
I've got 3k like 1.5 familiars. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Ascensions and Ascendians
Right,
or
right,
whatever.
yeah. Yeah, so
I
the
got a
other
lot of them.
and the
But I
other
don't know what
thing
to do with them. Eh?
the other thing with the rares that you can also do is also reveal them on side characters if you care about them to get like increased item drop rate to 50% line, because that can reveal from rare. And they could also be 15% IEDs. So that would be the value that I see in these cards. Definitely not throw them out, right? That's immediately off the board. But whether you want to min-max on this character or maybe just get some booster packs or something like that, or you want to give the value to your side characters or bossing mules, those I would say are options to consider.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
Yeah, I need to get like legendary familiars with boss percent on this guy, but
yeah,
it'll take a little while.
Yeah, the only way in Reboot we can get legendary is if you get it dropped as legendary from Princess No. It actually exists. Yeah. There's. I want to say there was someone who revealed 45% boss or something in legendary in Reboot.
Nice. Very lucky person.
Yeah, insanely disgusting. Yeah, I believe you can get a unique card from Papalatus at a very, very low rate, and then a legendary from Princess No at like an extremely low rate. And that's but yeah, everything else is unique, is definitely the sky. But so generally you want to go for an epic first to get the high drop rate, right? The 100% one. And then once you have that, you can increase your income of cards even more, and then just go straight for uniques and shoot for the moon.
Yeah, cool.
All right, yeah, I think we went through everything. Awesome. So I wish you best of luck on your tablet and on your DMT later.
Thank you.
Hopefully you get a nice flame
session.
Yep, you're very welcome.
Yeah,
and I'll
I'll
upload it. So if you need to watch anything back, and
awesome, I definitely will.
But yeah, otherwise you know where to find me if you have any additional questions.
Awesome, thanks, man.
All right, you're welcome.
Bye.
Have a good one. Bye. Alrighty. Okay, so you guys heard it. You heard all of it. I'm not going to repeat everything. But yeah, good session. Good bunch of stuff. We went through all of it. Definitely a lot of progress. Matrix looking super strong. Regular outro time. So yeah, if you want one of these sessions, make sure you check the description of the video, or you use !coaching over on the Twitch chat over there. I mean, usually I do this, but now it's over there because I'm on this side now. I'm over here. So these sessions can be through direct donation, so basically paid coaching sessions, or you can do them with channel points if you watch my stream and you're subscribed over there, which is considerably cheaper, but you have to watch the stream enough. Or you can also leave a comment in the description of the video saying that you would like to win with your Discord name and how amazing this session was. And then at the end of the month, I could potentially draw your name. I draw 2 names every month. I didn't forget. I was super lazy. So I drew 4 names recently, so make sure you check your previous YouTube comments. So we will be getting some of those drawn names sessions soon, TM, on the channel as well. And oh yeah, and Happy New Year for all the people who watch these videos. I haven't uploaded since last year, actually. So Happy New Year to you. So the quick plug for the question. So that's under !contribute. If you want to contribute BAs for mobbing or for bossing, I will throw those all into like a giant file. So under !classes, you'll be able to see. I guess I can show you. But I throw them together there. So I use the BAs to kind of rank how good the classes are, so people get an idea of that rather than just some, 3-star system on the character select screen, which doesn't do anything. And also monster kills per hour. Now this is, that's changed a lot now because totems are gone, so we need all the input. The idea is that with enough input from enough classes and enough maps, ideally we can get to see some kind of pattern on what the potential is of the classes. And also if you ever switch to another character and you need some inspiration on which maps can be really good, you can check the file and see like, oh, these maps tend to yield high rewards for this class, and then you can give those a try, basically. That's one. The other 2 is the excellent plug, of course, for Exalag. Make sure you check !Exalag in the chat. You can get 10% off with my direct link if you make an account there. You can also just do a 3-day free trial first and see if you like it or not. But as you saw for our session goer today, it took his ping from 400 down to 150, which of course makes the game way more playable. For me personally, it took my ping from around 200 down to around 100 to 110, which has also been considerable in... there's not like one thing... There's like a bunch of things where you just feel it. You're not suddenly like playing, you know, in Korean like 8 ping or something, right? I'm not going to tell you that that's going to happen, but it just makes overall the game much more enjoyable. There's way fewer just annoying things that happen where you're just like waiting for everything to happen. And like dying in hard will, like those runs where you just kind of die to everything, those never happen to me anymore, where that did happen sometimes before that. So yeah, other than that, thanks for watching, and I appreciate you guys. 2023 is going to be a great year for us together, so I appreciate you guys on the channel. We just hit 10K subscribers here as well, so thank you everyone for all that. And I'll see you either in the next video or live over at twitch.tv/Scardor in the chat right there. I'll see you there. All right, thanks for watching.